Welcome to Grieving Insomniacs. I am your host, Christy Haberman. I am glad you're here. Thanks for being a part of our community. A few disclaimers before we get started. I am a licensed therapist. However, this podcast is not to be considered mental health therapy or counseling. It is for entertainment purposes only and is not associated with my counseling practice, Christy Haberman Counseling Services. Thanks for showing up. Welcome to Grieving Insomniacs. This is your host, Christy Haberman. I'm on my own today. Kai the Wander Dog is outside wandering around. It's pretty nice out there. As I was thinking about what to talk about today, I started thinking about Mother's Day. So I don't know about the rest of you, but I really struggle in the month of May. One, because of Mother's Day. Two, because it's Christopher's birthday. And then three, because his death anniversary is coming up. And it's like I know my body remembers. And you just get sad. So interestingly enough, I was looking for my checkbook of all things that last week, and I found a journal. And I had thought I burnt all of my journals as a way of releasing the emotions. And I found one that I wrote right after Christopher died. And it's actually a book that I had written down all the signs of Christopher that I saw after he died, and also meditations I was doing at the time. So I'm kind of glad to have it, but at the same time, revisiting those nightmares is a little bit hard. So here we are. I'm not sure why we have a bereaved Mother's Day and a separate Mother's Day. I believe there needs to not be a separation between the two. If you had a baby and you had a miscarriage, you are still a mother. Even if you don't have any other children, you will still have that experience of being a mother. And I don't know whether to, I feel different ways about it. But part of me thinks if we have a separate Mother's Day for bereaved mothers, we're just increasing the separation between grief and everyone else instead of having the rest of society just welcome grieving people into it. I feel like there's just so much separation. Like I know there is in my own family. Next week people will celebrate Mother's Day with their family. I don't have family that I celebrate Mother's Day with. My son will celebrate with his wife and their kids. So it's a really tough day for me. I think it's a tough day for a lot of bereaved moms. So that's what I wanted to talk about, is how to survive Mother's Day. So interestingly enough, I don't have a date on this. So this would have been a year. The entry day before was 7/20/2012. And so it was after that. So we're talking 17, 18 months. And I want to read this a little bit to you because I think it's appropriate for Mother's Day. I find I have to write at work instead of at home. I feel so much pressure to pretend to be happy, to ignore how I really feel. I'm sad. My life fell apart around me after Chris died. I miss him so much. I don't understand where he is, and I worry about him. I know he is safe. I can feel that, but is he happy? I worry that he became unhappy because he sees me grieving or because he's missing his daughter. It's the out of control feelings that bothers me the most. Where is he? What does he think of me now? Especially now that he knows all of my secrets. I'm afraid he hates me, so fearful of that, so fearful of losing someone else. I want to gather them all up and keep watch. I don't know how to live. My life has been responsibility and more responsibility. How? So a year after I was struggling, almost probably deeper than I was for the first year. One of the reasons why I wanted to read that to you was because how many of us feel pressure on Mother's Day to act like we're happy? How many of us have to sit around and pretend like our other child didn't die? How many times do we have to make it about other people before people will recognize that we're sad? That we will never get flowers, cards from our deceased children. Now we'll get signs from them, but it's not the same. We won't get those hugs. We won't get that affirmation. Because Mother's Day is about affirmation. It's about validation that I raised good kids. My kids love me. And for grieving moms, we don't get that. So how do you cope? How do you cope with Mother's Day? And I say this over and over again. Sometimes I feel like I'm a broken record. Sometimes I feel like, it's just not it's just not anything that anybody's gonna acknowledge. Which is that allow yourself to be sad. Allow yourself to be in that moment and to express the full range of emotions. We have to allow ourselves to do that. There are some school of thoughts, mostly it is Eastern school of thought, that emotions cause disease in our body. So if we bottle up our sadness and we bottle up our regrets and our guilt, because I believe that every parent, because our job, especially mothers, was to protect our children, suffer with some sort of guilt surrounding the death of their children because you feel like you failed. I know I do. I struggle with that greatly. Not as much as I used to, but it's been a process. So that is the first thing. The other thing is that I honor yourself. We don't need our children to give us cards, give us flowers. Go out and buy yourself a banquet of flowers. Put your child's name on it and say, to my mom, from my son or daughter. You can get yourself a card. Put their name on it. Because in honoring ourselves, we're also honoring them. They were the ones that made us a parent. So we can honor them in that way. If you cook dinner for yourself, or if you cook dinner for your family, set some aside. Set a place for them at the table. Because that sense of belonging that you're going to create, that sense that, yes, they're still here. They'll stop in and visit. They will say hello to us on Mother's Day. Those are the kind of things that keep us going. Those are the kind of things that help us cope. And it doesn't matter if it's not true. What matters is that it makes us feel like we have something to do. It's creating an emotional connection between them and us. And I 100% believe that love never dies. So their love for us is still there. It still exists. And we can honor that on Mother's Day. We can honor those feelings. And we can make it, you're still going to be sad. But you can recreate the experiences that you need. Like we need those. We need those affirmations. The other thing that I would do is I would not overschedule your time. You don't have to be somewhere at a certain time. Like take your time. Get up early. Have coffee, tea. For me, it's Diet Pepsi. Take some time alone. Sit outside. Feel the breeze on your face. Close your eyes and imagine that breeze being your loved one. Just touching your face briefly. If you feel them around your arms, just take the time. Notice the birds around you. Can you hear them? Try to be as present in the moment as possible. Drive yourself to your family obligations. So a family obligation might be everybody goes out to dinner together. You might be the one that's cooking the dinner. If you're riding with someone else, take your own car so you can leave when you need to. That's critically important, is that you don't put yourself in situations that are going to cause you distress. You're already distressed. Don't have expectations of other people. Like, and I hate to put it out there, but I still have it. I still have it after 13 years. Well, 12 years, sorry. I'm trying to make it be longer than it already is. After June will be the 12th anniversary. After 12 years, I still want someone to call me on Mother's Day and say, I remember Chris. They never do. On his birthday, I still want someone to say, we know it's Christopher's birthday today. We were thinking of Christopher today. I want that so badly. Or the day he died. I want someone to say, we know this is the day that Christopher died. We're sorry. But it never happens. It never happens. Just like on Mother's Day. Don't expect other people to acknowledge you lost a child today. And there may be a lot of reasons why they don't tell you, I'm sorry you lost a child. Maybe they don't want to remind you. Maybe they think if they ignore it, then it won't be there. It won't go away. Or they don't want to make you sad. Like there's positive reasons why people won't say, I'm sorry your child isn't here today. What they don't understand is that's what we need to hear. We need people to acknowledge that. We need people to acknowledge our pain. And if you have someone like that in your life, just embrace them and say thank you. Just say thank you. I don't. I do those things for myself. So I believe it was last year. I'm pretty sure it was last year. So last year, I was sad. And I was like, why am I waiting for someone else to acknowledge Mother's Day? Why am I not just honoring myself? I don't need someone else to tell me, hey, you're a good mother. It's all about what we think of ourselves, right? So I go down to the local flower shop. It was kind of cold and rainy that day. It was the Friday before Mother's Day. So I bought myself flowers. They're nice flowers, I really liked them. When I got home, I had flowers from an unexpected source. It was really nice. I was like, "Wow, they remembered me on Mother's Day. How that was so awesome." And then a couple of days later, I found out that when I purchased the flowers, someone stole my credit card number, and I had unexpected unauthorized purchases from the same day. Oh, I just shook my head and said, "Man, I can't win." So I hope that if you go to buy flowers for yourself, it goes better than when it did for me last year. So maybe this year I'll go and I'll pay in cash so no one else will steal my credit card number. But you just gotta wonder about that. But at least it gives me a laugh. And I can appreciate the person that left me flowers that day. It was really kind of cool. So don't overschedule yourself. Take time for yourself. Do things that you enjoy. Buy your own flowers. Honor yourself. The other thing you can do is you can go visit them at the grave. They were the ones that made you a mother. You can honor them too. I like to leave things that are memories. Christopher had a big truck with loud pipes on it. He has a lot of trucks around his grave. He has butterflies because they come. I tend to think of him more when dragonflies come around. We have a lot of dragonflies. I unfortunately have a cemetery where he's buried that they allow you to keep things on the gravestone. So I have sand from the West Coast. I have sand from the East Coast. And I do believe I have sand from Florida. And then I have a St. Christopher's medal that I have kept on his headstone since he died. It has survived thunderstorms, windstorms, all of those kind of things. But put something out there that if you saw it, you would know that that was a sign from him or her. And as you go throughout this next year, when you see that thing, you'll know that it's a sign from them saying, "Hello, Mom, here I am." Rest as much as you need to. I find that when I'm really stuck in my grief and I'm really stuck in that hard spot, I need to sleep. That's just how I handle it. For some people, they may stay awake. But if you do stay awake, you still need to schedule in time to sleep. So I would do a little of both. And the other thing is recognize that you're going to be a little sensitive, possibly even a little bit irritable. And recognize that that might be the case. You don't have to participate in every fight you're invited to. And so I know that sometimes with families, so here's how it works. When you get together with your siblings and your parents, we fall back into the rules that we played in the family. This comes from alcoholic families, but I find that it is pretty much true no matter what family you came from. There's a scapegoat. That's the one that they're always the problem child. Everybody talks about him. I'm the scapegoat in my family, actually. Hero. That's the one that does everything right, and they're going to save the family. The clown, the one that tries to make everybody laugh when there's a problem. There is the invisible child. That's the one that's never really around. So when you get back into your family of origin, you all fall back into those roles. And if the family hasn't matured beyond that and taken on new roles, when you're all together, you will fall into those roles. So it won't be unusual for the scapegoat to act out. It won't be unusual for the hero to come in and try to smooth everything over and try to be the good one, the best one, and then you're going to have the clown that's always trying to get everybody's attention. And then there's the parents. There's an enabling parent, and then there's the parent that everybody tries to protect for whatever reason. Like in an alcoholic family, it can be alcoholism, it can be drug addiction, it can be mentally ill, it can be emotional. There's all kinds of things that can go into that. And so you fall back into these family roles. So when you get into your family on Mother's Day, think about what role you played in your family as you grew up and try not to get into that trap. And that's why I say you don't have to participate in every fight you're invited to. And sometimes it might be best just to walk away. I would not drink alcohol. I would stay away from that. So here's the thing about alcohol. So when you drink, your brain is like a sponge. So the more you drink, the more that the alcohol goes down. I'm trying to think of a way to describe it. Sorry for that big old pause. But think of your head as filling up. When you get about 2 cups is going to get you to about the eyebrow range. So your forehead is your frontal cortex. That's where your abstract thinking is. That's where your impulse control is. It just takes a couple of drinks to loosen all of that up. And you might say some things that you really didn't want to say. And once the words are spoken, there's no taking them back. And Mother's Day is hard enough without adding that to the mix. So I myself, I come from a drinking family, and when they get together, they drink. I don't participate in that. I know how it's going to end up. So I choose not to drink for my own protection, not necessarily for anyone else's reasons. So I would not drink. I don't even know if I'd even have a glass of wine, because that's also going to make you emotional. And I don't know about how it is for you, but Mother's Day, these anniversary dates, the tears are right there. I'm 12 years out and the tears are right there. Like in the beginning, I did not have the energy to keep it from happening. And so if I got a little bit of alcohol in me, I'm going to be boo-hooing. What do they say, boo-hooing in your Cheerios? I'd be boo-hooing. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just that not everybody is going to support you when you're crying. And it's hard enough to get through it without adding that to it. And I'm realizing as I go through this podcast that when it comes to my grief, that I am much more controlled. I think I realized that when I made my podcast last week, and I talked about how I don't like to talk to people about my son. I don't like to talk about him dying, especially if you're strangers. I realized that that's all about control. Like I need to control my emotions. That's how I feel safe. I don't like that out of control feeling. And grief makes me feel very, very out of control. And so my way of dealing with it is try to maintain control, don't drink, minimize my time around people. Other people, they may be okay with emotional expression. They may be okay with that. I mean, it's just all about learning how you are, learning how you're going to manage this time. And I just can't emphasize this enough, is that to take care of yourself. This is a tough, tough day for us. Doesn't matter if you're celebrating Bereaved Mother's Day today. Doesn't matter if you're celebrating Mother's Day next week. It's going to be tough. And I hate to say it, but you got to lean into it. The only way through grief is through it. And if you tiptoe and dance around it, and don't you allow yourself to fully lean into it and embrace it, you're going to struggle. You're going to struggle a little bit. And it comes out what we call sideways. And coming out sideways looks like it bursting out of you when you're not in control, taking it out on other people. Man, I said to somebody once, this is horrible, and I can't believe I said it. I said to somebody, I don't understand why your children didn't die. They're not doing anything with their lives anyway. Isn't that a horrible thing to say? That is grief coming out sideways. Oh, and I made that person mad. We're not friends anymore, understandably. I can't believe I said it. I'm not that kind of person, but I was that day. I was just so angry. And I still get angry like that, but I'm much better about controlling my emotions and what I say and what I do. I was just so mad. There's not much we can do about it. It wasn't until I started leaning into my grief and started embracing it and acknowledging that I had the right. I have the right to be angry. I miss my son so much. I didn't have the right to say what I said, though. We stayed friends for a while after that, but other things got in the way that we weren't friends anymore. So on this Mother's Day, I just want you to take care of yourselves. I want you to honor who you are. Take some time out for yourself. Don't overschedule yourself. And we will make it. We will make it through Mother's Day together. So I believe all of us are connected. We are all connected through our pain. And not only that, but we're connected through the emotional loss of losing a child. So when you're feeling lonely and you're feeling like, I'm not going to get through this day, try to think about all the other grieving mothers that are out there too, just like you, white knuckling it through the day, saying, I can do this. And send out silent thoughts and positive energy and prayers, if you believe that way, to those of mothers that are experiencing their first Mother's Day after the loss of their child. They need our support. And even if we don't know who they are, just send out those positive thoughts to them. And the winds will take them to the people that need to hear them. Thanks for listening. I really enjoy talking to you all. If you want to come on the podcast, please leave me a message. I'd like to focus on people that have lost children, people that are out there telling their stories, not necessarily someone that has a product they want to sell. Thank you for listening. Have a great day.